Hi everyone, my name is Tasleem and today we have Nupur Jha, who is a very creative artist. She does painting and seldom theater as well. Her work has been exhibited at various platforms in Dubai and India, and today we'll get to know about her journey and work. Thank you so much, Nupur.
Thank you very much, Tasleem.
So,
I'm so glad to be with you, first of all, and this is your journey as well. I'm so
thank you.
glad to.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, you were born and brought up in India, right?
Yes, I was
Yes.
born in India. I was raised in India. It's been last 8 years that I'm in Dubai.
Dubai. Last 8 years.
Yeah, last eight
How
years.
was your childhood? Like, what kind of child you were when you were in school?
It's a very difficult one.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was born in 1980. So that's a time when we didn't have access to a lot of information other than being nurtured in your family values and the systems that were offered to you.
Right.
So I was raised in a very disciplinary and a very strict environment,
Oh.
where my mother and my father both were extremely particular about how a child should behave in a certain way. It had a boon and a blessing in
Exactly. Yeah.
both ways, right?
Both ways.
So शायद कुछ जगह पे उस चीज की आज भी मुझे काफी कदर है. I really
Exactly.
benefited from those things. But if I take out the family and just about my individual, how I was as a child, I think I was always lost.
Lost? Like,
I
were you
was,
shy kid, like in
I was
school?
extremely shy, an introverted child, a very average in studies, lost most of the time. अब मुझे अगर इसको categorize करती हूँ तो probably I never liked the structured kind of learning the way the schools offered.
Right.
So those were the things I perceive how that made me who I am today.
Right. Right.
काश उस समय ये बात को समझ पाती मैं.
Exactly.
And so therefore I think I always tried to find out कि मैं हूँ कौन. That question always used to
Yeah.
trigger me even as a child.
Right.
Till date, I haven't got the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably you'll never get the answer. It happens like it's normal, right?
Correct. So that,
Most of the artists, they're always lost. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, lost
so-
and not to be found.
Not to be found. Okay. When did you realize that you want to do paintings? Like, and what was the inspiration? Like, did you start it from school or like when you were in college? How did you find that you want to do paintings?
So I used to paint on and off when I was in school.
Okay.
Because जब आपके पास company नहीं होता, आप lost होते हो. So आप कहीं ना कहीं you start looking for a company, right? So तब आपको ये जो natural चीजें होती हैं, you start installing, घर में landscape बनाने शुरू करते हैं. You start using watercolor paint. कहीं ना कहीं अपने आप को आपको कोई ना company मिल जाती है. So as
Exactly.
a child as well, I used to be engaged in a lot of art and creative work with myself.
Activities.
शायद मैं वो किसी को दिखाऊं ना, but I would always
Right.
indulge
Busy
into
with
some
something,
form of
yeah.
art. This was still my school, and in my college, I started, taking seriously my studies and my academic. And then after that, I had to get into the corporate world, which of course was my decision and by my choice. Art was never anywhere in my picture for next 15 to 20 years.
Like a career or
So
something.
as a career, and I would never paint for 15, 20 years of my mid life.
Okay, I was like going through this your website, and you mentioned that you were in banking for 15 years. So
Yes.
were you still pursuing your this as a career or just like a hobby, this painting thing, or like or how did you manage? Like how did you get the time for that doing that activities?
Sure. So 2004 is when my banking career, the corporate world started for me. So I worked in various banks in India, traveled in various locations within India, और उसके बाद फिर मैं South Africa गई, Jordan गई, and then I moved to Dubai. So I did multiple roles. बिल्कुल वक्त नहीं था to do any sort of art. You know how it works. You go in the morning, you come back in the evening. You had no time, but अंदर
But
से
आप
there was
paint करते
always
थे?
an urge कि ये शायद मेरी life नहीं है. There would always be time जहाँ पे मैं weekend में शायद I would ask everybody to go out of the house because मुझे वो 2 घंटे का time चाहिए था जहाँ मैं paint कर पाऊँ.
Right.
And then I would feel like now this is
This is
what I
what I-
wanted.
yeah.
और उससे मैं this was like an unwind session for me, and I could live with that feeling for next 1 month, let's say.
Right.
I would paint on and off, but during movement from India to South Africa, I had a 6 months gap with the whole visa process and all, and I was between the jobs. That's when I really got into art.
Like this leisure time, free time, you realize that okay.
So that was like I was at home. I was not working for 8 months approximately, and I started doing large canvases without any thought, without any plan.
Right.
I just bought canvases and I started painting. कि देखते हैं होता क्या है.
Right.
And I don't think I decided to paint. There was something else which was compelling. I started painting. In South Africa, the environment for art, the way art is perceived, is so rich. So in like 8 months, I did some 10, 12 paintings, exhibited in a couple of shows, and invariably also sold pieces.
Wow.
तो मुझे वो आर्ट का वो the whole life cycle of how an artist world artist की दुनिया होती कैसी है, from creation production to reaching it to the people who wants to buy, वो मुझे idea नहीं था. I just started without a thought, and then it reached to a stage where people are buying, they're willing to pay a price for my painting.
Yeah.
Well, despite of all of this, I still managed or decided to leave South Africa and move to Dubai with another banking job. And again, for next 4 years almost, I didn't paint at all.
4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. Again, I didn't paint because I got into a very tough, role, and that required me to be in the
More
office.
responsibilities.
Yeah, and then the role of a motherhood was also pressing. So I had a child who was only 4 years. So I had multiple things, that was taking time, and there was no time for art at all.
Right.
But by that time, I had already tasted the joy of creation.
Right. That's very important.
Correct. It was only in 2020, post-COVID, when I literally industrialized the whole thing, and I said, no, this needs attention. This is not just happening.
It's like a hobby or something you could.
Yeah,
You don't
it is not one of them.
Yeah.
It requires attention. It requires some sort of guide. I need to listen to what it is asking me to do.
When like for 4 years you didn't do paint, like were there like any void or something, like you didn't feel like, okay, like something is missing in my life? You didn't feel that?
100%. I felt I'm not myself.
Yeah.
There was this salary coming to me every month, a paycheck aa raha hai, how.
But still unhappy.
Yeah, but then that never gave me the joy. I felt so restless most of the time. I would keep watching videos, listening to stories, and I never felt complete. I felt this is not where I'm supposed to be. Or, how a situation makes you feel that this is not where you belong.
Right.
ये
Exactly.
जगह अब मेरे लिए fulfill नहीं कर रही है मुझे.
ये temporary है.
Yeah, so the corporate world was not answering to my call.
Right.
It was meant to fulfill a certain requirements of your worldly life, your material pleasure.
Exactly.
उसके beyond उसकी एक,
That's
there's
just
a limit.
necessary. वो necessary हो जाता है, but
Right.
permanent नहीं हो सकता.
As a human being, I felt I'm violating the laws of nature. Yeah, I felt this is not going in the right direction.
Wow, interesting.
I had to be very firm with my decision when in 2021, until April I was working till 2021. After that, did I look for a job? The answer is no.
Okay.
I was like, no. I mean, it's enough for me. 17 years of banking career. इसके बाद अगर अब मैं next अपने, and I'm saying 10 to 20 years of productive years, if I don't listen to my inner call,
Yeah.
I don't think I'm doing justice with the life that I've been given to.
Exactly.
That's where,
That's it, like life is very precious, and you're just gonna waste it with the corporate world like
Yeah.
that.
right.
Yeah, I understand. How do you find subject for your art? Like, when like in artist block, like there's something, that you get a time that you're not finding any new piece or something like that. So what do you do basically? Do you travel? Do you enjoy listen music? Do you read? What do you do? Like, how do you find your subject?
So, yeah, well, the travel, the music, the environment, all of this works like a catalyst for you. It enables you to think.
Yeah, exactly.
But end of the day, the calling or what draws you to paint is all inside you. ये सब अंदर है.
Right.
All of this is the periphery. ये आपको ignite कर सकती है, but at
Just like a medium.
yeah, वो हो सकता है, वो आपको excite कर सकती है like a child. You
Right.
can feel that exuberance कि ये देख लिया हमने, ऐसा कुछ texture देख रहे हैं. It can remain with you as a memory.
Right.
आपकी experiences हैं. But हो सकता है उस वक्त तुरंत you don't want to paint. But what you paint is all this acquired, जो आपकी memories आप बनाते जा रहे हैं ना,
Right,
the
right.
pile up होती जा रही हैं, it comes out like a gush sometimes. मे बी नॉट नाउ, वो आता है,
राइट,
और तब मुझे नहीं मालूम ये कौन सी चीजें उठा रहा है कहाँ से और क्या मैं पेंट कर रही हूँ. सो द क्वेश्चन यू आस्क्ड वाज, वेयर डू आई
comes
ड्रॉ द
naturally.
सब्जेक्ट?
Yeah.
If there is no subject, I won't lie, there is no, absolutely no subject. That's the beauty of the abstract form that I do. The moment I have a subject, I'm boxing my whole thought process.
Exactly. कौन सा कलर आप ज़्यादा यूज़ करते हो? लाइक which color do you use? लाइक आपका सब फेवरेट कलर होगा, ब्लैक डू यू यूज़ मोस्ट और वाइट, which color do you use most?
Sure. Yeah, I've tried to analyze it. जब आउटकम दिखता है सामने, वो फिजिकलिटी है सामने, तो यू सी कि ये मैंने स्टार्ट हर बारी में, डू आई स्टार्ट विद द ब्लैक ऑल द टाइम? Is there a tendency that I have? I've thought about it, and the answer is yes. Black seems to be very, very predominantly used in a lot of my paintings, along with very bold colors like red.
Red.
Red are used a lot. And then there are times when probably you would be going with a very subtle and muted shades. तो वो एक अलग mood है, एक अलग temperament है, you know, the way your mind behaves. Black, but I would say is, जब सब कुछ भी हो जाता है, I think that if there is no black, I feel the piece is missing. You know, it's not complete for me if I don't use black.
Okay, I want to know, like, your perspective on this, like, why most of the greatest artists, like in history, they struggle a lot. Like, for example, Vincent van Gogh, and he had a, like, when he was like creating art, he had no money, he starved himself, and people used to make fun of his art.
Yeah.
Now, like, people worship him.
Yeah.
Like, why it happens with most of the artists, like, writers, singers, the greatest artists, like I've seen it, like it happens with so many people.
See,
Why?
I don't know Van Gogh's story.
Yeah.
I'm reading the understanding of the stories that I see in I can tell you my story. I'm also suffering.
Okay.
So, yeah, at whatever stage the artist is, emerging ho, या established artist ho, deceased ho, या living artist ho, I think there is always a struggle because there is so much of struggle inside and outside. वो कभी align नहीं होता.
नहीं, एक इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे होता है, लाइक एक सोसाइटी के लेवल पे मैं पूछ रहा हूँ, जैसे कि लोग आपकी आर्ट को एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते हैं,
Correct.
एंड देन लेटर रियलाइज दैट यू आर क्रिएटिंग समथिंग मैजिक जब आप चले जाते हो दुनिया से. एंड व्हाई दिस हैपेंड विद मोस्ट ऑफ द आर्टिस्ट?
वही ना, जब आपके सामने कुछ होती है तो उसकी कदर नहीं करते हैं.
Ahead of time.
They are ahead of time. That's a very good one. Yes, they are ahead of time. They see, there is a sense of insecurity that people have. The society का एक normal norm है,
Exactly,
एक pattern है,
Yeah.
right? उस डॉगमा को हम फॉलो करते करते आगे बढ़ते हैं. वो सिस्टम्स हमारे कंफर्ट के लिए बनी है, राइट? आर्टिस्ट के पास वो राइट है, एक राइट ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन है, जहाँ पे वो स्टेटस को चैलेंज करता है.
Break the chain.
Correct. They don't want artists to do that because you are challenging the norms of the society, and जिसके कारण शायद वो पूरी सिस्टम शेक कर जाए, and जो चलता आ रहा था अब तक वो शायद it might not be there.
Exactly.
Because you are putting a pressure, और आप indulge कर रहे हो ऐसी चीजों में, और young nimble mind को आप
Right.
trigger कर रहे हो सोचने के लिए. सोसाइटी वो नहीं चाहती है.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
वो आपके अगेंस्ट हो जाते हैं,
वो आपके अगेंस्ट हो जाते हैं, एंड आप नहीं चाहते हैं कि थॉट प्रोसेस को हम रिफाइन कर पाए.
They start like acting like you are an abnormal person or something like that.
करेक्ट. आप उनको उस कैटेगरीज में डालने का शुरू
क्योंकि आप
करते
उनका
हैं.
पाथ फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हो.
आप उनका फॉलो नहीं कर रहे हो. आपको शायद, quite honestly, you don't understand what the artist is trying to say.
Right.
To understand, somebody is challenging your intellectual side, and we are too arrogant with what we already know.
Exactly.
अब कोई उसको चैलेंज करेगा, you will feel threatened, right?
Exactly.
Threatened is the right word.
Right.
You feel threatened.
Yeah.
कि अरे somebody who's using bold, wild strokes, वो मुझे सिखाएगा जीने का तरीका. Who are you? You feel threatened. You're not willing to listen.
Exactly.
But the artist is fighting a battle. उसको वही आता है. We all humans, we all have one right, which is to express.
Right.
आर्टिस्ट उस चीज को एक्सप्लोर करता है, उसको एक्सप्लॉइट भी करता है, और उसको डर नहीं है.
Right. Right.
That fearlessness is what is being people get threatened with that.
Exactly. That's
ये
why.
बंदा इसको अगर हम क्या कहते हैं पनपने दें तो ये पता नहीं क्या कर जाए.
क्या कर जाएगा, हमारे जो जितने
वो
बिलीफ
डर है.
सिस्टम है सबको
करेक्ट.
तोड़ता चला जाएगा, ऐसा है.
करेक्ट.
आपको आर्टिस्ट ब्लॉक आते हैं, लाइक हाउ डू यू मैनेज दैट आर्टिस्ट ब्लॉक्स, लाइक फॉर every artist, like when you're not able to create something
Yeah.
for a month, for a year, sometime it happens with some artists, like they stuck with, like,
Yeah.
you know, the thought process. So how do you manage artist block, like what do you do exactly?
So it does not last that long for me as of now because I'm very, very early in my stages. It might be for a longer period of time later. But yes, वो छोटे छोटे phases आते हैं where you probably just want to be away from everything.
क्या
You
करना
don't
चाहिए
want
जब
to
आपको
talk
आर्टिस्ट
to
ब्लॉक है?
people about art. आपको कलर और वो पैलेट और वो अपनी टूल्स के से दूर रहने का मन करता है. There are those stages you don't want to see them. You want to just run away. But I don't let it last for more than 2 to 3 days
That's it.
because then I need to nurture my whole mind how to go back to it.
Exactly.
और वो communication चलता रहता है. You know, there's a cajoling that happens between the art material and me.
Exactly.
मेरी दुनिया में बस वही है. So there's nothing else that drives me other than that. That calling has to be so strong कि artist अपने आप, you know, you go back to it.
आप बहुत ज़्यादा टाइम के लिए दूर रह नहीं सकते.
रह नहीं सकते आप. Because then your whole, you know, you can't do that. Again, it's violation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you spent 8 years, अब आप पीछे जा नहीं सकते.
There is no way.
There's no way.
Right.
You feel dead.
I was looking your, like, paintings. So most of the paintings, like abstract, landscape, but portraits नहीं दिखे मुझे, like self portraits. You don't enjoy them, like self portraits or something?
No, nothing real is what I enjoy doing. Anything real जो आप photograph से capture कर सकते हैं, जो आप naked eye से देखकर, you know, I can say Taslim looks like this or I look like this. It's very realistic.
Right.
So portrait उस जमाने में there used to be very good portrait artists. तब शायद कैमरा नहीं था, photography नहीं थी. That could have been one medium of doing. But the joy is doing abstraction, anything which is not real.
Right.
So, can I make portraits? Yes, when I was a child, I have done portraits. I mean, I have tried doing Jawaharlal Nehru, I have tried doing Sachin Tendulkar, and I could do. अब नहीं हो सकता, सीधी line नहीं खींच सकती मैं. You know, I'm in that state that I can't put a straight line. And I'm very happy with the way I am.
Feels like an injustice to you, like when you make portraits, like.
सीधी line है तो what am I trying to say?
Okay.
ये मेरे लिए लाइन सीधी नहीं है. मेरी लाइन मेरी होनी चाहिए.
Right. Like, if you get a chance to, you know, live this same life that you're living right now, will you relive, or you want to make any changes? What do you think?
No, I'm very happy with the way things are. You know, I have a very supportive ecosystem around. Thanks to my 17 years of my banking career, I'm able to afford making art because it's not easy.
It's not easy.
So yes, I was wise enough to do a corporate job. Today I don't have a guilt कि मैंने इतने art, you know, I'm producing so many. I have done like 70, 80 pieces of art. It's not easy because monetarily benefit आपको art से मिलता नहीं है. That's another level of frustration that we can touch upon later. So when you go through those stages, that's also where you start withdrawing.
Right.
So thankfully, I took right decisions and I'm doing art at the right time of my life. If I were given a chance, I would have probably started it a little earlier, I would say.
Right.
But yeah, otherwise I'm
Otherwise,
very
no
happy.
changes.
Yes.
What do you think? Like, is it necessary to commercialize your art? Like, जो आप art बनाते हो?
Yeah.
Like, for example, एक song है या फिर painting है. Is it necessary कि आप उससे पैसे भी कमाना जरूरी है, या फिर like you can just do it for your own self?
You can do it for yourself, but I will only talk about, you know, visual art,
Yeah.
which is drawn on a piece of a tangible object. It's not like एक writer है, poet है, वो एक कहानी लिख रहा है, वो Microsoft Word document पे, you know, you can have millions of files saved on a computer के folder बनाकर आपने रख दिया. It's
Right.
not that easy for a visual artist.
Right.
When we make, it takes, there is a materiality, there is a physicality aspect.
Time.
वो आप कितने रख सकते हैं, कितनी दीवारें आप अपने घर में fill करेंगे. You know, it starts blocking your energy after a point.
Right.
Then how does it reach to the art patrons, people who are willing to buy organic pieces of art? That process if you call it, it's commercializing art. It must reach somewhere. आप करो या you hire someone to do that, but it must reach to someone. Only then can you produce more.
Right.
तो वो जरूरी है at some, because you also need somebody to appreciate your art.
Exactly.
Right? There is another belief I have. I think जब मैं एक आर्ट पीस बनाती हूँ मुझे लगता है वो एक वॉल के लिए बना है, वो मेरे लिए है नहीं. I don't get attached with my piece. You know, there is a horoscope of each art piece. It will reach to the wall जहाँ उसको जाना है. जितना समय लगेगा.
Interesting.
So there is a lat long defined for each piece, I feel. या तो मैं वो गिफ्ट में दूं, या मैं उसमें I say this is free, please take it, charity करूं, या कोई आके मुझे 1 million दे दे उसका. Either way, it has to reach to the person for whom it is meant to be.
Right.
But वो मेरे लिए नहीं है.
Exactly.
जो एनर्जी मैंने लगाई, somebody will get drawn to that and it will reach there.
Exactly. Right.
इस बिलीफ से मैं पेंटिंग स्टार्ट करती हूँ और जब एंड करती हूँ मैं बोले तू इसने जहाँ जाना है वो जाएगी.
चली जाएगी
वो चली जाएगी.
बट कुछ पीसेस ऐसे होते होंगे ना जो आपने बना दिए, फॉर एग्जांपल 1 or 2 पीसेस जो आप लाइक यू डोंट वांट टू सेल देम, यू डोंट वांट टू गिव टू समवन, जो आप अपने पास ही रखना चाहते हो. ऐसे पीस कभी बनते होंगे?
100%. और ये पिछले 2 साल पहले ये सब ज्यादा था मेरे साथ. आई वुड कीप लुकिंग एट इट कि ये पेंटिंग तो मैं किसी को भी नहीं दूंगी. I have trained my mind in last 2 years that this is not a thought I can live with. I need to be detached with the art pieces. I was in a way blocking myself. हर पेंटिंग को ऐसी देखती थी मैं, ये तो नहीं जाने दूंगी मैं. This looks so good, perfect मेरे जगह पे फिक्स्ड है वो. जब से मैंने अपने थॉट प्रोसेस को चेंज किया, honestly pieces are going.
ओके. लाइक आप एक आर्ट बनाने के बाद उसको आप डिटैच करना पड़ता है अपने आप को.
Sorry.
आर्ट बनाने के बाद, पीस बनाने के बाद, you have to detach yourself.
You have to detach
So that you can go for the
painting.
next piece. Is it
Correct.
because of that?
It's very similar to कि how detached liberation is. आप किसी के साथ मोह माया में you cannot be attached to it, right? Everything is impermanent.
Right.
Simple philosophy of life, right? ये तो जाना है कहीं, वो मान लो आप. Automatically वो भी आपसे detach हो जाएगा and the flow will be maintained.
Right.
For me, it's a living being.
Living being. I understand. Like when you see your like previous arts, like 3 years before, 5 years before, do you feel like, okay, why did I make this?
Yeah, a lot of those times.
It happens with most of that. Like when they create something after 2 or 3 years, like why? I mean, this is not me.
दो तरह के वाई आते हैं. एक वाई होता है कि ये मैंने कैसे बना दिया.
हाँ, exactly. ये भी होता है.
ये मैं बना सकती थी क्या? I mean, did I have the caliber to make something like this? And then the second why is, how did I even make this? I mean, इतना गंदा काम करती थी मैं. There are दो whys. There is a constant introspection happening within you always. और एक आर्टिस्ट का पहला क्वेश्चन ही होता है कि हाउ कैन आई मेक इट बेटर. इससे बेटर मैं क्या कर सकती हूँ. ये एक कंटिन्यूअस एक थॉट प्रोसेस चलती है. लाइफ की अप्रोच वैसी हो जाती है, हाउ कैन आई मेक इट बेटर. एक सोचने का तरीका ये हो जाता है. वी आर सो लाइफ फुल ऑफ लाइफ ऑल द टाइम. व्हाई? बिकॉज कोई स्टैटिक टाइम नहीं आता एक आर्टिस्ट के लाइफ में. हर वक्त एक दिमाग में कुछ ना कुछ मोशन चलता रहता है. यू आर ऑलवेज इन दोज बोल्ड मूवमेंट्स. There is always something happening in your mind.
Exactly. I read somewhere, like, when you start disliking your previous art or creation, it means you're growing.
Yeah.
It happens, right?
Absolutely.
Like you realize, okay, now I'm way better than this. I can create something more beautiful than this.
Yeah.
It happens.
Personally, me, the idea of making beautiful is not there ever.
Okay.
Because there is nothing like a beautiful art.
At a certain point, it can be. Like when you create something for some few moments, like you feel, okay, this is like really beautiful. And after some time you move on, you create something more.
Yeah, intention is कि ये painting, जो whatever I'm making, is it saying what I wanted it to say?
Okay.
क्या हमारी communication establish हुई? क्या ये वहाँ रुका जहाँ पे बंद हो गई? अब वो सुंदर लग रहा है कि नहीं, ये तो the way you see it, let the other person decide that.
Right.
मुझे जहाँ रोकना था उस पेंटिंग को, I stopped it there. मुझे नहीं मतलब ये beautiful लग रही है कि नहीं. You know what I mean?
Right.
Definition of beauty is with the person, whosoever is looking at it.
Subjective, yeah.
Subjective है ये. और उसमें आपको दिख क्या रहा है? The story can be very ugly
For some people.
for some people.
Yeah.
For me too. When I look at it, I see I call one of my paintings is flawed and beautiful. Let's say utterly flawed. तो वो beautiful फिर भी beautiful है वो.
Right.
Right? There could be ugly, sad, a very dark side, and also be a beautiful painting.
Right. Do you read?
Yes,
Yeah.
a lot now. I have a lot of
Who's your
time.
favorite writer?
So I read a lot of art books nowadays. I read a lot of books of famous artists like Basquiat hai, Picasso's books.
Okay.
So I read those, and I used to read a lot of Hindi fictions. शरद चंद्र की किताबें मैं बहुत पढ़ती थी, प्रेमचंद की किताबें बहुत पढ़ती थी.
ये तो
So I have loved those books.
बट कोई ऐसे पेंटर्स होंगे जो आपको बहुत लाइक ऐसा लगता हो कि आई विश आई कुड क्रिएट लाइक द वे दे मेड देयर वर्क, लाइक आई विश आई कुड डू दैट. ऐसा इंस्पायर करता है कोई आर्टिस्ट या
Yeah,
कोई?
Joan Mitchell, the lady, I really loved the way she was. She was utterly free.
Okay.
You can see her freedom of expression from her work. She never bothered about anything. उस स्टेज में जाना, it takes a lot of courage. बहुत
What
courage
do you
होना
mean
चाहिए.
not bothered about something?
She was not bothered कि मेरी पेंटिंग कैसे बन रही है. बस वो, it's your own hunger, it's your own gush.
Like you just like creating,
You're just creating.
and that's the beauty of art.
That's the beauty.
That's
That's where it starts
yeah.
and that's where it ends.
You just create.
वो जो courage था, the way she was brave, वो you can see that on her face, on her canvas. वहाँ तक पहुँचने के लिए, where you stop thinking about what people will perceive, it takes a lot of time. बहुत मेहनत चाहिए, बहुत हिम्मत चाहिए वहाँ तक पहुँचने के लिए.
जो भी great artists हैं, they just created. They didn't realize कि outcome क्या है. कुछ भी exactly.
So when you see her painting, it gives me goosebumps till date. I mean, she's one of them.
Wow.
उसके बाद आप घंटों उसके ऊपर you can keep talking. There are docus where people are discussing about her and inferring her painting. If she would be watching, probably it would be funny for her how people are looking at landscapes and flowers दिख रहे हैं, ये दिख रहा है, season दिख रहा है. Maybe she was not even attempting to make any of those. But हम उसको precious बनाने के लिए, उनके stroke को समझने के लिए, imagine the amount of effort we are making. That was Joan Mitchell.
Wow. How to understand art? Like आपकी जो abstract paintings हैं, like if somebody wants to understand, like there are people who won't understand, right?
Yeah.
So if they want to go in depth
Yeah.
for art, like what is the better way, like understand art?
One, you might assume that you're understanding art.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But शायद it will be futile. उस वक्त के लिए आपको लगेगा कि आप समझ रहे हैं. But try seeing that again in a couple of days. Your understanding will change. That's how dynamic it is. It is about the point of time जब आप art और उसके बीच सामने खड़े हैं. It's a lot. I would say it's very significant और बहुत important है art के साथ engage करना. Visit as much art exhibitions and museums. Engage. Start talking to art pieces only. Don't have human interactions. आप उस कैनवस में इतनी कहानी है, इतनी चीजें आप देखेंगे. Keep flipping art हर तरीके से. See what you see.
Infinity stories.
Yeah. आप आर्ट को नहीं. See, this interesting thing that comes to me now. You believe that you're trying to understand the art, but that's not what it is. You're trying to understand yourself through the art. आप आर्ट को नहीं समझ रहे.
थोड़ा explain करो और.
Yeah, so आर्ट का पर्पस ही यही है कि आपके अंदर के चीजों को बाहर निकाले.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. What an artist does. आर्टिस्ट का कंट्रीब्यूशन क्या है? वो अपने अंदर की चीज को बाहर निकालता है, आपको वो देता है, प्रोड्यूस करके देता है कि भाई ये मैंने बनाया है, तुम देखो, एंजॉय करो.
आप रिलेट करो.
आप क्या करते हो? वो बाहर की चीज से अपने अंदर जाते हैं.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's nothing but अंदर से हमने बाहर एक प्रोड्यूस किया
और हम खुद को ही समझने की कोशिश
लेकर गए. आप सोच रहे हो बार बार कि आप समझ रहे हो, आप कुछ नहीं समझ रहे.
Right.
Each time you meditate, you go through a different thought process, right?
Yeah.
That's what art is. मेरी पेंटिंग मुझे रोज कुछ नई कहानी बताती है. And I will be arrogant if I assume that I have understood one painting. I don't want to understand. मेरी तो wisdom खत्म हो जाएगी. The day I start understanding and say check. ये मुझे 4 painting समझ आ गई. Let's move to the 5th one, Nupur. No, I don't want to be. My life is to not understand that. Or maybe the day I understand, I stop painting.
Exactly. Right. And art के बहुत meanings भी हो सकते हैं for individual also. Like you see something for example, you understand something else, and some other person will see they understand something else.
वो होगा ही क्योंकि मैं अपने experience से अपनी
Yeah,
memory से देख
exactly.
रही
That's why आपने जो बोला बहुत अच्छा point है. आप अपने आप को relate करते हो इससे क्योंकि आपका experience अलग है, दूसरे बंदे का experience अलग है. तो इसीलिए art को हर लोग अपने अपने perception के according देखते हैं.
Therefore, when you define an art, there is a new marketing concept, 200 words when you define your art, give a title. I resist myself. And I literally cannot do that. जब भी मैं, if I start writing, I'm not doing justice to the person who is viewing my art.
Right.
Because I'm creating a box. And I'm saying, look, this is my piece of art. This is how intellectually I see my art. आप ऐसे ही देखेंगे. It's not justified.
It's an insult for that.
Just say untitled. And you tell me what you see, and let's have that conversation. Let's engage with that storyboard.
Yeah. Untitled. Yeah.
Rabindranath Tagore never liked to title his paintings at a later stage. And he's the one who never used to paint realism. He's like, why am I imitating nature? That is a beautiful thing that God has created. I'm not going to replicate that on a piece of canvas. मैं अपनी imagination से मेरे अपने पहाड़ है. शायद वो vertex down होएगा. But that's my interpretation of a hill, of tree. शायद आपको वो पेड़ दिखे भी ना. I know basic concept Taslim. How does a red color look to you and how I see a red? मुझे तो ये नहीं समझ में आता. Can I see through your eyes how you see a color? I can't. Right?
Exactly. You can't see that.
ये बहुत fundamental questions हैं. अब, and I live with these thoughts all the time. कि ये मेरे को green painting तो मैंने बनाई है.
ये दूसरे बंदे को कैसे लगेगी?
ये इसको green दिख रही है. Which hue of green can he see from this?
Exactly. और जिस thought process से मैंने बनाई है, क्या दूसरा बंदा उस thought process से देख रहा है ना? वो possible नहीं है.
So, point number 1, you need to shut your mind intellectually कि मैं कुछ बना रही हूँ. आप बना भी नहीं रहे.
वो बन रहा है,
वो आपको बना रहा है. It is creating you.
Exactly.
I mean, stop being arrogant.
Yeah.
You are not creating anything. आपको बना रहा है. मैं तो सीधे शब्द में इतना ही जानती हूँ. मैं बनती जा रही हूँ because of this.
Yeah.
I'm becoming purer. I'm becoming more honest. I'm becoming more authentic because of art. I can see things so clearly now. चीजें, इंसान, everything looks so vivid to me. I was not like this when I was in the corporate. अब सब कुछ clear दिखने लगा है. अभी भी it's still blur. It will take me 10 more years to be there maybe. जब शायद, I see how probably the creator sees.
Right.
That's how, if I continue to be honest with my work. अगर मैं बनाना शुरू कर दूं to be able to sell it, the saleability component, the moment it creeps in, I'm killing it.
Yeah, exactly. What advice you would give to someone who is in college and want to be painter artist? Like, where should they focus?
Again, एक उल्टा जवाब दूंगी मैं.
Okay.
There's nothing like you want to be an artist.
Okay.
आपके पास मतलब ये कोई करियर बनाने के लिए अगर आर्टिस्ट बन रहा है, I don't think that for me. अपने experiential I will tell you. वो शायद एक गलत intention होगा. It just happens with you out of choicelessness. आप रोक नहीं सकेंगे. It's so compulsive. It is so drawing to you.
Something is bothering you inside.
Yeah. I mean, you cannot be an artist. You can decide, of course, decision आपकी होगी कि अब मैं, I will become an artist and I will take all the positives and the negatives of being an artist.
Right.
It's not clean as we perceive, right?
Right.
तो वो मेरी accountability है कि मैं अपने artist बनने के लिए I'm ready. I'm putting my foot down. That's your decision. But आपने decision भी एक compelling reason से लिया है. Not everybody does it. Have you seen artists how they look?
Different.
Yeah, they all look different because
Yeah, you just
they are
recognize them.
mavericks, right?
Yeah.
They are mavericks. They
Yeah.
look lost.
Lost.
वो रीजन है, वो सही में लॉस्ट होते हैं. क्यों 10% ऑफ द एंटायर पॉपुलेशन कैन ओनली बिकम एन आर्टिस्ट? करेज चाहिए, बहुत करेज चाहिए. एंड वो करेज, आई थिंक इट्स एन इनर कॉल. नोबडी डिसाइड्स टू बिकम एन आर्टिस्ट, आई फील. सबको मेन स्ट्रीम में सबको पैसे पसंद है, सबको वो कॉर्पोरेट जॉब पसंद आती है. यू डोंट डिसाइड टू बी अ सिंगर. या तो कुछ गॉड गिफ्टेड होता है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली यू बिकम अ सिंगर, यू बिकम अ लिरिसिस्ट, यू
Yeah.
बिकम अ कंपोजर.
You just polish that. That
Correct.
skills.
And how it differentiates you from the other is your own practice. How you practice. लेकिन आपने जब स्टेप ले लिया, अब वापस नहीं हो सकते आप. You signed up for it.
Yeah.
तो अब उसकी प्रोज एंड कॉन्स सब आपकी है.
Exactly.
बट कोई डिसाइड नहीं करता. अगर कोई डिसाइड करके करता है, you have to assume that there is a compelling reason which is pushing you to do that.
Pushing you, yeah, exactly.
Listen to it or go deeper in yourself.
Listen to your
See
calls.
आपकी genre क्या है? What is your style? Ask those questions. Spend more time with yourself. You'll get those answers. But don't be so lost after a point, because after some point you need to be focused at some place. इतना कुछ है बाहर, इतना temptation है.
Right.
Right? So you can't follow everything. कहीं ना कहीं आपको अपनी एक बनानी पड़ेगी.
दुनिया बनानी पड़ेगी अपनी.
क्योंकि सबको नाम कमाना है. या यू वांट टू लीव योर मार्क. मैं पेंटिंग्स लेके तो नहीं जाने वाली अपने साथ, ना मैं पैसे लेके जाने वाली हूँ. व्हाट एम आई गोइंग टू लीव बिहाइंड इज अ नेम, राइट? माय सिग्नेचर पॉसिबली.
Exactly.
या ये लिरिसिस्ट ने ये लिखी
लिखा.
है, ये लिख कर गए हैं, हम गूगल करते हैं, अच्छा ये इसकी कहानी है. दैट इज व्हाट यू वांट टू लीव, अ लेगेसी.
Legacy.
उसके
You
लिए
want to be
आपको
remembered.
यूनिक होना पड़ेगा अपने काम में. Otherwise, you'll keep oscillating between many things. You'll be lost. You'll be disturbed, and possibly you will not feel like you've achieved something.
Don't you think it's an attachment, like when people want to be remembered after their death?
Attachment to what?
Attachment to their identity, like they don't want to be die even after death.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong in that,
Yeah.
isn't it? I mean, that is your contribution to the world. इससे और एज एन आर्टिस्ट अगर आप करके जा रहे हो, यू आर लीविंग अ लेगेसी एज एन आर्टिस्ट. आप एक स्टाइल छोड़ के जा रहे हैं, एक टैंजिबल प्रोडक्ट छोड़ के जा रहे हैं. देयर इज नथिंग मोर नोबल एंड मोर ब्यूटीफुल देन दिस. सब्लाइम.
Yeah. Right. It is.
अटैचमेंट है, बट हम तो गए छोड़ के गए. नोबडी इज कमिंग एंड
people are
चेकिंग.
still appreciating your art and your work, and that's the beautiful thing.
आज के डेट में भी आई एम सिटिंग हियर एंड रीडिंग पिकासो. व्हाई? बिकॉज़ I get inspired with that. अगर मेरे काम से लोग इंस्पायर होंगे, I don't care about the money it will give me. Literally, I would want to leave a legacy.
And that's a true contribution to the world.
Yeah.
Know? If you're doing something,
But Tasleem, question to you: do you think this is something that I am deciding to leave a mark? No.
No.
It is again something. Don't you think it's a predetermined thing? अगर मुझे छोड़ के जाना है, कोई रोक नहीं सकता.
Right.
अगर मेरा वहां तक मुझे जाना है,
You'll find your way.
करेक्ट. आज नहीं, 70 साल में.
हाँ.
I cannot go without creating that mark. नहीं होना है तो नहीं होना है.
आप जितना भी ट्राई कर लो.
कुछ भी कर लो.
कुछ भी.
लेकिन अगर मुझे वहां तक जाना है ना, तो there is nothing that can stop me.
Right. What is the meaning of life for Nupur?
Life, I think, the being concept of a human. The being, human being जो कहते हैं ना, I think to be in your current moment, that is life for me. इसके beyond मुझे दिखता नहीं है कुछ. I can say 24 hours, maybe intraday is what life is for me. सुबह उठो, आज मेरी दूसरी लाइफ शुरू होती है. That's how I see. इससे ज्यादा मेरी ना विजन है लाइफ में, ना इससे ज्यादा मैं सोच सकती हूँ. मेरी कैपेसिटी नहीं है. आज का दिन, so basically it's just how suns rise and sunset. इतना मुझे मालूम है. शाम को when I sleep, am I happy? Did I do good? Did I do anything unkind? It's something that I ask myself. That's it. मेरा दिन शुरू से शाम तक कैसे होता है, उतनी ही मेरी लाइफ है. I want to see happy faces around me.
ये बहुत अच्छा तरीका है जीने का.
कल को मुझे नहीं मालूम क्या होने वाला है. Do I know in a fraction of a second what will happen?
Yeah, exactly.
I can definitely have a plan.
Yeah.
नेक्स्ट 15 दिन का मेरे पास एक एजेंडा हो सकता है. एंड वेयर आई सी, जहाँ पे मुझे गोल पोस्ट दिख रहा है मुझे कि ये एक शो है, एक डेट है, कुछ निर्धारित चीजें हैं जहाँ
Right,
मुझे
right.
जानी है. आई कैन प्लान फॉर दैट इंट्राडे, आई विल प्लान फॉर दैट. बस मुझे नहीं मालूम उससे ज्यादा.
Right. But आप हमेशा वरी में नहीं रह सकते फ्यूचर की आपने ये करना है वो करना है.
I have zero worry in my life. I have never worried in my life. क्योंकि मुझे मालूम है whatever I'm doing today, there is somebody else guiding me. मैं खुद कर ही नहीं रही. Yeah, you're saying, yeah, to get attached with my name and my identity, I don't think I have that. You have to give your name to the painting, right?
Right.
कि आपने ये बनाया है.
Yeah,
But I don't think any of this is mine.
It doesn't belong to you.
It doesn't belong to me. The energy with which I paint, it's a borrowed energy. It's this an energy of my surrounding. जो मेरी बॉडी ने acquire किया and it is throwing through my movement.
Right.
इससे ज़्यादा मुझे मालूम नहीं है.
इससे ज़्यादा आप क्या ही कर सकते
इससे
हैं.
ज़्यादा, and what am I worried about? If I'm sulking about something, I will fix it in an hour or so. I cannot live like that.
Right.
अगर मेरे आसपास, if I see people drooling and disappointed about life, the first question I ask is, sit alone and ask yourself why. What are you worried about? बहुत जरूरी है अपने आप से रोज पूछना. जब आप उसको ब्रेक करेंगे ना, you come to the lowest level of answer, you will see how trivial your problem was. कुछ नहीं है.
कुछ भी नहीं है.
कुछ भी नहीं है.
आपको अपने आर्ट से भी सेपरेट करना होता है.
बहुत ज़्यादा.
बहुत सारा.
बहुत ज़्यादा. And now I can separate. I
कैसे
paint
करते हो?
now on a roll. Canvas roll पे paint किया. I pin it on my wall so that I could paint large sizes. The moment that is done, dried, I roll it and I am done. वो कहाँ जाता है रोल मुझे नहीं मालूम. I don't even look at it.
Wow. Right.
It's very interesting that I don't have framed pieces in my house. पुराने जो हैं वो है. But अब जितने नए बनते हैं, I don't see them.
Wow. Any piece of advice for the young people who wants to, do better in life? So what would you say to them with your own experience? Like,
One, don't get too much carried away with what is happening around.
Okay.
कहीं नहीं लेके जाएगा because you're looking at outside of yourself. कहीं कभी ना कभी, you'll have to stop and come back and ask yourself, what was I chasing all this while? You'll waste a lot of time if you're carried away. Number two, humility and kindness is never out of fashion.
yeah, absolutely.
वो कभी नहीं जाने वाला है. There is a your generation, there is a,
Yeah.
काफी सारे हैं.
But it's gonna be there.
Yeah, it is, but there could be a pinch of humility and kindness in whatever you do.
Right.
There is an ecosystem around you. Respect that. Try to be a contributor. उसमें आप देखो कि आप क्या कर सकते हो. There is so much that we can do. There's so much of opportunity around us. In the current phase that we are living, oh my God, we have so many things to do.
Yeah.
So think differently. उसमें आप क्या कर सकते हो?
Contribute करो, make someone happy, help
Yeah,
someone.
just make someone happy. छोटी
Yeah,
सी चीजें.
छोटी सी चीजें.
Go to and speak to a gardener who is probably, sitting there for hours working on the piece of patch of land.
Yeah, just talk to them.
Just go and speak
Ask
with
them.
them. Ask. एक
Yeah.
बार just smile.
How they are doing.
Have an eye contact.
Exactly,
It's
that's-
so important to have an eye contact talk.
People stop having conversation.
Yeah. Look outside your 5-6 members of your family.
Right.
That's your choicelessness.
Yeah.
I understand family is important, but उसके beyond इतनी कुछ है, इतनी सारी चीजें हैं. Moment you expand, आप इतनी सारी, happiness you acquire, you bring back to the family.
Exactly.
Expand horizon. और nothing is small. कुछ भी काम करना छोटा नहीं है. Just take tiny baby steps. कहीं से start करो. So just start and see where it reaches. Don't have a big plan for yourself. Just take baby steps. We'll see how you navigate through. होता क्या है? क्यों हो रहा है ये? Ask.
Yeah. And whatever you're trying to find, the way will find you.
Correct.
Yeah,
It will find you. Just keep meditate a lot.
Yeah.
Sooner you start, the better it is. You look different doing that.
Great.
That's fashionable, I would say.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
was
much,
great.
Tasneem. Thank you very
so
much.
much, guys. This was Nupur Jha, and if you want to buy her painting, so I'll leave the website. Can you
Thank
tell
you.
your website or something? It's
Sure. So it's artbynupurjha.com.
yeah,
But you can always reach out to me. Let's have a conversation.
yeah.
Uh,
And
Yeah, before you even decide to buy, or
Exactly.
it's more important we talk.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, and have a great time. Enjoy. Bye.
Thank you very much, Tasli.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.